doing. We work for a company called Something Fishy. We are an aquarium design studio out of Warwick, Rhode Island, and we do design, installation, and maintenance of all sorts of aquariums, big, small, to things on your desk, to shark tanks. And we have partnered with Mystic Aquarium and a number of other educational institutions as well to create a campaign called the Coral Reef Aquarium Fisheries Campaign. And our drive here is we are developing and educating around sustainable practice in the industry. So our campaign has three main goals in it. So we have government engagement in the marine ornamental industry. So we are trying to make sure that fisheries are managed properly and that the government has the research and the education to be able to make educated decisions around this as well. We're doing upgrading the value chain, which is a little bit about what we're doing here, which is providing education for people on the supply side. So service companies, retailers, consumers, hobbyists like yourself, making sure that you guys have what you need to be educated to make sustainable choices and to create a solid, long-lasting husbandry experience for the organisms that you're caring for. We're also working with sustainable species selection, so being able to give you the resources to be able to choose species that are going to be long-lasting, that are going to be sustainable choices so that you're not harming and you're actually promoting sustainability in the environment. And we're also working on cyanide detection too, which is a big thing in the industry now to make sure that that's not happening, because cyanide poisoning is very, very common in capture fish and actually destroys them, whether or not they arrive at you dead. After a while, if they have been cyanide fished, they will pass on. So we're trying to make a sustainable and a cost-effective way to be able to identify that so those fish can't even enter the trade in the first place. Lastly, aquaculture. So we're doing a couple things with that. We are doing research and development around identifying which species are sustainable options for the trade, so which ones can be cultured and also have a market in the trade, and then developing the protocol around that too. So once we've identified which species are good, that they are solid candidates for aquaculture, how do we then teach people how to be able to grow those and then spread that knowledge around and those resources around?
So what the frag? You know, you have all these corals in your tank, you just set it up, you started up a new tank, you put some corals in, they're starting to grow, and now they're starting to continue to grow, and they're thriving, and they're taking up a lot more space. So now we have to do something with that. Divide them, cut them down, then we can mount them onto these plugs that you all have at your tables, and disinfect them and grow them out. Those are essentially the steps for fragging and making sure that you have the most successful frag, and that's most likely to have a good time in a different spot in your tank or in somebody else's tank. So as I was saying, why would you even want to frag? Size is a big one. If your coral starts to get too large for your tank, then it's time to frag it down a little bit and make smaller pieces. It could be growing into other corals, starting to sting them. A lot of corals release toxins when they're next to each other as a defense mechanism, and you don't really want that toxin in your tank, obviously. It could be harmful for the fish or the other corals. If you're looking at if you really like this one coral, say like, oh man, I've got this awesome like swinger, I want to put it over here, then that's another reason to be able to frag. Frag is an essential tool in order to be able to do that. And all of this is about propagation. So it's essentially you're taking one colony and making more colonies, making more colonies, making more colonies, and that improves the sustainability of the hobby. And of course, there's also the potential when you're at shows like this or hanging out with your fragging friends that you can make a little money and be like, hey, I've got this gorgeous piece of coral. Hey, and these events, frag swaps, trade shows, conferences, they're awesome opportunities to meet other like-minded individuals and make friends. Like, it's a great opportunity to sit around with other people at the table right now and just introduce yourself and show each other. And, you know, at the minimum, you will have a tank most likely, or you're thinking about a tank. So you make friends, you'll obviously live longer, find the love of your life, and it will grow back your hair.
All right, so sustainability. So why the frag do we even care about fragging? So sustainability is important in a number of ways regarding fragging. So fragging and propagation of corals is the future, especially with the current pressures on the environment, things like, I should say on coral reefs specifically in the environment, things like community development, things like agricultural runoff, things like pollution, poorly managed fisheries, and especially rising ocean temperatures. There's a lot of pressure on the coral reefs in the wild right now. So providing fragged and aquacultured or propagated corals into the industry helps to relieve a lot of that pressure. Similarly, if you are buying, trading, selling these things too, what that's doing is also promoting education and promoting awareness around the issues so that people are not only getting these corals that are better for the environment, they're learning what it means to connect with their environment, to care about it, and then helps promote action steps around that as well. Propagating corals also, or fragging corals, also helps increase their growth potential. So most corals will grow in relation to the surface area that they have exposed. For example, say I have a patch of green star polyp or something like this, it's going to grow on these exposed edges here. If I take and I frag this coral, don't do that at home, now it has those edges that it had before, in addition these edges. So it has more places to grow, and then it increases its growth, its rate and its ability to grow, which is really a sustainable action as well too. And then lastly, you're creating a premium product. So with corals that you then frag and then you raise in an aquarium environment, you're now raising an organism that is used to aquarium conditions. So it is used to the food that it's being given there. It is used to getting water changes. It's used to the water parameters that are in your aquarium. It's used to being handled now and then. And it's used to the lights that you have in your aquarium, which while they are supposed to replicate natural light, they are really different. And what this is going to result in is an overall hardier coral. It's also going to have better coloration because it's used to that aquarium lighting, rather than pulling something right out of the environment where oftentimes you're pulling out brown, yellowed corals and stuff because they just don't look the same in the wild. And then when you've created these corals like this, if you're a retailer or a service company like that, you're going to have better customer success. And that also means return business. And you can even charge a premium for a product like this as long as you provide the education around it. People want to know that what they're getting from you they can trust, that it's sustainable, that it's hardy, and they're going to have success with it. If you teach around that, people are going to be happy to support that. And they're going to make the right decisions that both help our environment and give them what they want in their own tank. So in addition to creating awareness, you're also giving people what they want and what's best for their tank, and that's really important.
So with that said, we've got a wonderful setup and an opportunity for you to get hands-on and do a little bit of writing ourselves. Another disclaimer, these tools are sharp and they will cut out your appendix if you miss a cut and still something. So we're going to start off with the bone cutters. And those are these kind of like large, they almost have like pincer-like top there. And you can see them a little bit better on the screen up there. You can't see the ones in my hand. And in your kit, you actually have two sets of them. There are a large set and a small set. And that is for doing different size corals. So if you have something like a hammer or a trumpet coral, it's probably easier to use the larger bone cutters for that because you can get underneath those and cut the skeleton pretty easily. If you're grabbing something more delicate and it's got more intricate parts like this guy here, you probably want to go with a smaller tool. It's more maneuverable and you can really get in there. So back when I was like a little fragment myself, I always went the cheapest way. Like I wanted to be as efficient as possible. It's very expensive, so I took the easy way and got a hammer and chisel. And I would just bang away at corals, sometimes using the hammer, sometimes using channel, sometimes using my face, anything to frag this coral. And then I discovered bone cutters, and they're infinitely easier and just such an amazing tool. You wouldn't think that it can cut through this no problem, but it's very easy to just get through it. So you all have a wrenching stone coral at your table. The way to do it is just go ahead and grab those bone cutters, and you want to place the part that you're cutting as close to the where the blades meet at the bottom here. You don't want it at the tip. The strongest place for it to cut is down at the bottom. And you can see it just goes right through there. So feel free to grab your stony corals, grab your bone cutters. And we've got a little bit of a setup for you. So when you're actually fragging, it makes it easier for the corals. We've got a towel, and then we've got some plastic on top. Normally when we like to frag is we'll put a little bit of water on this tube, so that once you make your cut, then the frag could fall into something that's not like it might help to cover it when you're cutting, just so that it doesn't go flying into your table. But as you can see, they've got a lot of power behind them. And if you're receiving frags, say you bought a frag from your buddy or you bought a frag from the show, these are actually really good at getting the coral off the frag or getting this really annoying piece off the bottom of the frag. It just goes right at the bottom, and then you can cut that right in half. So that now you only have a disc at the bottom of your coral. It's a lot easier.
I did point it at the table.
It's a lot easier to glue on.
Yes, it bounced and slid.
So everybody take a turn and make sure that you get a frag piece, because we're actually going to be using those stony corals later on. Are you guys making out? I haven't been shot with any pieces of coral yet, so I think
That way, I don't know where it went, but
Too much damage.
I know.
well, there. No tools.
That one's kind of hard, it's not. It's just a plate.
I got some good distance on it though.
I'm sorry.
Oh, well, if we're apart, how does that work?
You can drag them with your mind. Does anybody have corals in their tank? I'm guessing so, yeah.
It seems like, how do you avoid damaging your corals when you're fragging? Because sometimes they're so brittle. I'm like, oh crap.
Yeah, so it's definitely all about the tools. If you're trying something smaller, more delicate, use smaller tools and you can clip around that. Sometimes the brittle though, you're just grabbing them out of the tank, and which is if the little pieces fall off, you frag.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can actually use any of those pieces that fall off, and as long as they're large enough that you can glue them on to the blood.
Aquariums actually grow better
There you go.
when they're broken or fragged out. It actually doesn't get to them.
What are the differences when you're doing that as a live thing?
So when you're doing this with a live frag, definitely don't need, so one, we have gloves for everybody, and that will help make
Underneath.
so that you're not really damaging the coral.
Get it in your, like,
It will be a little bit more brittle, so. When you're practicing a live piece, if it's like a trumpet or a hammer or something, obviously you're going to go at the bottom or the base, the skeleton of the coral. You don't want to damage the individual polyps.
I read was wild.
There isn't a lot of difference between this. That's kind of why we went with this, because you get a good idea for yourself.
but I could handle like if this was live, like a hammer.
Yeah.
Yeah, one tiny piece.
All right, scissors. So, it's important that you want to make sure that you are choosing the right tool, of course, and scissors are kind of a good middle ground between using the cutters and the bone cutters and using like a razor blade. If you use a tool that is too big for the coral frag, you might end up squishing it or smashing it and damaging that delicate flesh. If you use something that's too small, you're going to end up tearing at it and sort of ripping that flesh apart as well, which obviously is not going to bode well for the healing process. So scissors are a really great tool for a lot of softer leather coral types. So things like finger leathers, annularias, Bergonians, toadstools, crown leathers, and mushrooms. So I'm going to give you like a quick little tutorial, quick little technique exercise to do those types of corals, and you guys can get hands-on, share with your friends. I don't think that they bite. It's up to you guys. But the first one we're going to do is a branching coral. So since we're sustainable here, we actually aquaculture these in our own lab at the store. So you can feel good about fragging them. And there's a couple things that you want to know when you're branching coral, or when you're fragging branching corals like this. So you definitely want to hold it by the base. So even soft corals have a skeleton in them. They create what's called spicules, which are basically like little pieces of bone that group together and create like a soft skeleton. So at the base of the coral is going to be where those spicules are the largest and the most dense. And it's also where algae and bacteria and stuff are going to start to grow over the base of the coral. So that area is pretty sturdy and pretty hardy, and you can actually grab that part without damaging most of the coral. So if you were to touch basically like the tips, that has a lot of the soft, delicate polyps, and that offers more of a chance to harm the coral. So grab it by the bottom. When you're making a cut, it doesn't really matter what size piece you frag off. Personally, I like to do something that's at least like an inch big, because if you make it too small, then when you stick it into the glue is going to cover half your frag, and it's not going to look so nice, and it's not going to grow as well. So when you're cutting, for aesthetic reasons, not for health reasons, I like to make a cut that is like flat across rather than diagonal, because then once you put it on the block, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, it'll actually sit upright and just look better, rather than if you put a diagonal cut. Your corals can kind of lean like that when you plug it, and when you plug it. So take scissors. I like the bigger ones personally. The smaller ones are really just for making like small, delicate little cuts if you want to drag up one tiny polyp for your 50 friend or something. But in general, these are a better tool. So you go into these, just make a straight cut across, and it falls safely onto your little prepared area here. The towel makes sure that it doesn't hit a hard surface and damage itself, and then the wet plastic makes sure that it doesn't rip the fabric of the towel, and then pull it back if you want to lift it up after that. After you've done that, you pretty much got a frag, and normally we go and plug it in after, but we're going to wait a little bit for that, and we're going to go to the next technique. So if you grab a toadstool, which I don't have on the yellow corals that you have. So toadstools or crown leathers are also super easy to frag. Nothing really kills them, so don't be softy about it, just frag into it. And what you want to do is a couple techniques for these guys. So you'll see that on the example ones that they kind of have folds and bends on them. What these do in the wilds is they actually butt off, so those folds will eventually meet each other, and they'll start to pinch. And then eventually that pinch falls off, that little chunk falls somewhere else, that coral starts to grow a new one. So if you ever see those, that's actually a good place to start fragging, because the coral's already working on breaking itself off there. If you don't see that, you can actually cut off pretty much any chunk of it, and it's going to regrow into another one. Also for aesthetic reasons, I like to cut, use a little bit of finesse with my cut, and make something that's rounded. So if you were to cut just like a little triangle out of there, all the edges are eventually going to round off, and they'll start to grow over. It's always going to keep that sort of triangular shape and look a little bit awkward and unnatural. Same with your mother colony. It's going to have a triangular cut out of it, and it's going to look a little bit funky. So use your creative side, and put your scissors to it and cut a rounded piece out of it. This will leave your mother colony just looking like it has another wave there, and it'll also leave your little frag piece. It'll make it grow into a more mushroom-like shape. Give it a shot. Pass it around.
Yeah, try to draw that yellow toadstool on your desk. Yep. That one right here, just do a rounded cut.
So you're basically cutting like a little circular chunk out of it. Yeah.
We going this way, we going show it this way.
Sure. When I'm doing baby frag here. So, usually birds, these guys aren't budding off yet, they're still young, they're culture for a little bit. So I take it and I do something like that, and I curve it while I cut.
And it's actually kind of funny, this model of magic that we aquaculture these corals from actually feels pretty similar to when you're cutting through your leather or your mushroom or whatever coral, whatever softy that you're fragging. actually has a very similar resistance to it.
So you see a little rounded edge there, for example, and like just cutting little triangles out of there. That just looks weird. It's not gonna suit your read very well. So, yeah, that a little bit.
So, what Dan was talking about is now that the mother world is now versus.
Yeah, I'll let you guys sort of play with that while you on to the next one. So mushrooms was the last little technique I was gonna show you guys. So you have on your table little flat guys here. Watching them and throw them in the tank and they operate everywhere. Be careful with that, 'cause they will take over other corals and mess up your tank. But since we don't mess up our tank, we're gonna do a fragging technique that's a little bit different. This way also gives the best chance of recovery after fragging process. So if you hold it, when you let these out of the tank, you want to make sure that you're doing it really gently. So if you handle them too much when you're taking out of the tank, what they're going to do is they're going to crunch up really quickly, which then makes it hard to make a good cut out of them. And then they're also going to start spewing off a ton of mucus if you handle them too much, which one is gross, and two is it makes them really slippery, and it's hard to make a clean cut. You might accidentally slip, cut your arm off. We don't want that to happen. So you gently lift it up. And you want to go right down the middle of it. So there's a little bump or dot in the center of yours, and that's the mouth where the coral eats. And you want to cut it so it's directly in half. So if it has equal parts mouth and body on both sides of it after the cut, it's going to have the best recovery rate. So just right down the middle, using the big scissors as well, in general, is the best way to do it. And then you're left with two pieces. You're left with two pieces. After this, the coral is really stressed out. Of course, what you want to do is either put it in an area of really low flow, because you don't want to get knocked around, bumps and stress even more. Or a good practice is also just put it in like a deli cup or a little specimen container with some rubble in there, and just stick that in your tank. Let it heal over and let it adhere to a rock. And then once it stops stressing, you can go wherever you want in your tank.
So moving on to the next tool, that would be the scalpel or razor blade. This is an extremely sharp tool, as we've mentioned multiple times. We're not trained in first aid or CPR, so don't cut yourself. This one has kind of a little bit of a bend in it. It makes it easier for doing a straight cut. I find it feels nicer in the hand. And it's really good for fragging carbonated corals. So green star polyp, zoas, and even mushrooms like Dan was saying. And it's pretty much that if you've got your little zoa colony at all of your tables, you're going to want to cut around the polyp heads, the green polyp heads there. And usually I like to have at least 3 or 4 heads on a frag, just to give it some space and to really let that colony start taking off. So if you take your scalpel, you can you'll run it along and cut through and in between to make yourself a little plug. And you can use it for mushrooms as well. Same idea, you would just go through the center of the coral. If you have a razor blade too, it makes it easy. Just kind of pinch it down to a couple little quick cuts, and it goes right through that. For corals like green star polyp, they oftentimes will grow offshoots from them when they're in your tank, and those will just go straight into the water. And you can actually do that inside your tank, is take your razor blade and just kind of pinch it with your thumb in the coral, and it pops right off. It makes it very easy to frag that type of coral. Yes.
When you're doing the zoas on a rock, when you cut the little 3 heads off, where do they come off the rock?
So they don't always come off because they're attached to that rock. So what you can do is you can either use the razor blade itself, like the other side of it, and kind of coax those zoas off a little bit with it. Or there's usually, I believe in this kit, it has a flat scalpel. So this tool here has a non-sharp scalpel, and this is really good for prying off and just kind of scrape off the zoas. So you can be very delicate with them and then pull them off. Sometimes it depends on the rock that they're growing on. If you can then break that part of the rock off, and you don't mind that rock being broken off, you can keep that piece on a rubble piece, and it makes a great frag. So besides the stuff in the kit, there are power fragging tools, if you could say, and that's like a Dremel or a bandsaw. And what these are is they're just different ways of doing exactly what this kit will do. The only difference is for like a bandsaw, it's much easier to get through rings and A-cans to kind of go around those heads in order to.
What do you do if you don't have the?
And you have brains and A-cans.
Yes.
It's a little bit harder. It can get kind of messy. I've used bone cutters before. It's not.
Dremel with like a diamond blade on it, probably the closest thing is a portable. You can get them at like those from Depot. Not too expensive, what you do. Makes a pretty clean cut.
Yeah, Dremel comes with the long, you can buy it with the long extension. So then the motor head and everything sits on the bench, and then you can shoot it like a dentist tool, drilling in your teeth, and that works great.
Yeah. Yeah, just make sure it's a diamond tipped blade or a diamond tipped cutting wheel, because that's meant for cutting stone or pottery or glass. So it's much easier cutting through, say, like the stony skeleton of coral. You can also use those tools to do something very similar to plugs. You can cut off the base of the plug so that it's easier to stick your corals onto the rock afterwards. Okay.
Just a question. I've had experience in the past using a bandsaw. I think it was actually designed for coral fragging, and it had a tub of water at the bottom. I think you fill it up with salt water so it keeps the coral wet as you're working with it, keeping the band stays wet because it's running through the bin. Have you guys seen those?
Yeah, so those are, most of the coral bandsaws will be wet saws, and that's for two reasons. So that's for the saw itself actually gains a lot of heat while it's moving. You don't want to start burning off your corals, and it also keeps the blade in good condition. And then it's also for the health of your corals. They obviously want to stay wet, so that water stays on them.
Alright, plugging along. So now it's time to plug up. So if everyone could grab in front of them a coral plug. This is actually easiest with like the bird's nest or the actual corals to do this exercise because they don't float. You should also have in front of you a bin of water with a makeshift frag rack on it. We're going to use our imaginations a little bit and pretend that the water in there is water from your tank. You want to use water from your tank and not like fresh water you made or water that you made, because that's one less parameter that the coral has to adjust to after you make the cut plant. So bringing it back into water that has the same pH already is after the corals are used to expedite their healing process and make them less susceptible to infection stress. Also going to use our imaginations. We're pretending we have reef dip here, which got lost in our packing process at some point. Reef dip is a C-chem product, which if you're a fragger, is something that you got in your toolkit. It's an iodine solution, and it works similarly to how with humans or in veterinary practice, where it does two things. It prevents bacterial infection after you put a blade to the flesh, and then also in addition to preventing that bacterial infection when it's susceptible like that, it aids in the healing process, helps it expedite that as well too. So pretend that our water goes with that as well. When you're done fragging the corals, you want both your frag and your mother colony to sit in that solution. You actually have some water flow in there, or you switch out your hands now and then, so that solution in iodine is actually getting into the crevices, the cuts of the coral, rather than sort of simmering there. All right, so you also have in front of you IC gel. This stuff, which is our coral glue. So it's a high related piece of, it's basically super glue. But we prefer this product over a lot of the other ones on the market for the reason that it's a gel rather than sort of a runny liquid like a lot of super glues are. So it's a lot easier to work with. It doesn't sort of like fall off the plug, get stuck to your hands, accidentally glue yourself to your coral, glue yourself to your reef. You don't want that. This stuff comes out in a nice squishy gel formula, and it's really easy to work with. So with plug in hand, you can also do this with a rock too if you wanted, so it's a little bit more natural if you don't like the look of a plug in your tank. You want to squeeze out onto here. You'll have to screw this on first because it opens up the little seal on there. Good point. Safety Billy over here. Backing me up. This stuff is gross on your hands, so backing me up. This stuff is gross on your hands, so gloves definitely help.
Just in case you get a little bit of glue on your hands or anything, it's best to be wearing gloves at this point, so you all have a set of gloves at your table.
Yeah. And we use epoxy too to keep these on for their next activity. All right, so with your safety gear on, when you use the glue, you want to use a little bit more than you think you're going to need. So what I recommend is about the size of like a big fat pea, maybe 2 big fat peas. You want a real glob on there so that when you stick the frag into it, that actually sort of wraps around the base a little bit rather than just touching it. That's going to make it a lot easier to have a successful frag plug. So once you have that on there, you can take your little frag and stick it right in there and give it like a little bit of a twist so that the glue is really gripping it. And then once you've got it there, take that and dunk it into the water. So what doing that will do is that starts the curing process of the glue. This stuff is pretty fast acting, so it'll start to turn this sort of milky white color, and that means it's starting to dry out. Then, with it out of the water, you want to hold it there for about 30 seconds or so. Really until when you let go, that your coral holds itself upright rather than starts to make a lean. If it does start to lean, what you want to do is just lift it back up, give it another little squiggle, dip it back into the water, and then that'll start to make the gushy glue that has not started to cure. That's right up against the coral, that'll make that part start to cure as well. Hold it for another 30 seconds or so. Once it pulls itself upright, you can actually just take that, stick it on your frag rack, and then leave it there for like, I'd say another like 2 minutes or so. That'll make it entirely clear. And once that's happened, you take that and your mother colony, let them sit in that solution with a little bit of movement, 15 or 20 minutes, and then those corals are good to go and go back to your tank. Yes.
So what do you guys think about other kinds of super glues you can get at hardware stores? Some are gel-like this as well. What are your thoughts on those?
So actually most super glues are entirely safe in aquariums. You can get like sort of a cheaper one, or whatever. We don't get 100% sure that it is just a cyanide related adhesive. Some of these glues have other ingredients in them because they're used for multi-purposes. So if you're not 100% sure that it is, just get actually a couple bucks and get one that's actually made for everything.
So you also have a stick of coral epoxy on your table, and this is another great tool for attaching your frags onto your reef or getting larger pieces of your frags onto a piece of rubble that you'd like to set it up for. And to use this, it's a 2-part epoxy. Once you open the tube, it's got a little cap on the top that you just pull off. And you'll notice that inside, there's 2 different colors. So there's a light gray on the inside, and then there's a dark gray around the outside of it. And it's once we start to combine these two that the epoxy really starts to harden and starts to be usable for putting our frags onto the reef or onto a piece of rubble. And this stuff cures underwater as well. They come with a clear plastic around them. It's just being really the Florida heat seems to have melted into it. So I usually grab a decent sized piece. It depends on the size of your coral. For something around yay big or so, I like to use a piece about this size, just to really make sure that you can hold it in place. It's really good for, say you needed to do like a kind of an awkward mount for it, and the frag needs more structure in order to stay supported and not fall over. Like if you're doing something jutting out of the rock wall or something kind of like that, it really helps hold it in place. And to use this, I usually like to dip my hands in the epoxy in water, and then you can start to mix the two together. It smells a little funky, but it works really good. And the water helps to kind of start that curing process a little bit quicker, and it also prevents it from sticking to your hands a little bit more. And you can actually combine the coral epoxy with the coral glue. So once you have your kind of, once you have your little mass of coral epoxy, make it into a little ball, and you can make like an indentation in there where you're going to be putting your frag, and then you fill that with a little bit of glue, and then that will hold your frag when you go to place it in a lot better. And you can pinch the epoxy to be around that base so that it really forms and molds to your coral. And you can do the same thing on the other end. So wherever you're going to place it, you can put your coral glue and then place it onto the rock in your tank.
All right, so life after fragging. So once you have fragged your corals and put them back into your tank, there's going to be a period where they're a little bit stressed out and exhausted. For a while, it's probably not going to grow, because what the coral is doing now is putting all of its energy into healing rather than into growth. Maybe a couple of weeks, or maybe even a little bit longer than that your coral is going to start growth again. It's really nothing to be concerned about at that point. Some corals will take longer to adjust than others. Additionally, a lot of corals, because they've just been handled for a really long period of time, their polyps are going to stay close too. So this can actually last up to days sometimes. Again, nothing to worry about. And it's natural, and it will start growing out as they start to adjust and start to heal again. A lot of times when you put corals on these plugs or using lube and stuff, it looks a little bit funky and awkward in your tank. After that period of adjustment, they are going to start to grow again, and they will grow right over epoxy lube, or right over glue, right over a plug. So over time, nothing completely disappear, and you don't have to worry too much about the aesthetic. If you really wanted to, Billy showed you, you can cut off the bottom of the plug, so it's adjusted a little bit better, you can pop it off of the plug. Yes?
So I've heard some people say, cut the frag off the plug. Because for one, it looks nicer. But really should you? Or just cut the...
So, with the lube, I'm sorry.
So,
I actually wiped out my tank last summer because I didn't follow that rule. I bought corals from somewhere else.
Yeah.
And had eggs, I guess, or whatever I forgot what they're called. Velvet, and I wiped out my whole tank. So I take it off.
Alright. To that note, like, if it looks like it's healing well, I like taking off the plug. I'm not too big on the look of it. Sometimes some corals have to take months before it goes over a bit. So a good trick with the glue, it comes out pretty easily. If you just hold it in one hand and you take like a pocket knife with the base of the blade, like the fatter part of the blade, you can just sort of nick it against it. It'll pop right off of that. As long as you have it set up like this so it lands safely, like under water or something like that. Then you can do that and just remove the plug. You just gotta be like a little bit careful about it.
the other question I got for you, so like the Ecotech Marine, I think all the lights, they have like a 2-week acclimation mode or whatever. But your other corals are all used to that light. So
Yeah.
what should you do?
So, in my opinion, I think that the acclimation mode is not really all that beneficial, but I look at it as that coral has, even though it's a piece of a larger colony, it kind of feels like a new
my case, my question then is a frag that you purchased
Yeah.
and you're now ready to take it off the plug and put it in your tank. And it's, let's say it's any kind of active coral, or you put it up where there's still bright light for the other corals that are coming up. Is that gonna blind it?
So, I think there's a little bit of two questions there. So when we bring in corals into our facility, we don't put on an application filter, we don't drop the intensity of our lights, because we're bringing them from a place that are using coral grade lights. So they're used to that. So I think dropping it down one is just gonna stress your corals there, and then the rest of the new ones. To your other question about sort of if you're putting it right around, or is it, blinded? So that depends on the coral itself. So for example, if you put a low light coral at the top of your tank, you're gonna leach it out, okay? But in general, yeah, I don't have too much advantage to the acclimation of later.
If you're really worried about the coral hitting high light, you don't want to raise it up, I like to start them at the bottom of the tank. I'll put the entire plug and just stick it into the tank. And just sit there, make sure it's going to be healthy, and then slowly move it up throughout the tank, just so you know that it's going to acclimate those lights just fine.
Any other questions? Another thing to be a tip is if you ever start to notice signs of infection on your coral, this happens, you just made a slit flesh, and be cognizant that I would say two things you want to look for are discoloration along the facets of both the frag and the mother colony, or necrosis or flesh falling off. If you see either of those two things happening, what I would do is take the frag and the mother colony and put them back in that refit solution. Put it back in refit solution for that 15 to 20 minutes. And do that every day until you stop seeing signs of it, and then do it for 2 more days after that. So when you stop seeing signs of the infection, there definitely can still be the bacterial organisms existing in that space. So you want to make sure it's entirely rid of that before you stop doing the treatment. And then lastly, so you want to give good nutrition to these things. So they're healing and they're starting to grow again. And it's important to make sure they're getting the food that they need. So we use 2 products that we definitely recommend. Sequence Fuel is a vitamin and amino acid supplement that we use. So we're using an extra vitamin boost like the area corals. And then we also use like smaller bulk coral, we use Refroids, which is a zooplankton blend, which has got a lot of good nutrition in it. And you'll see polymer sections like immediately in this stuff, so the water is awesome. For larger bulk corals, things like Euphyllia, whatever. A lot of those things you can just feed fish food to, mysis shrimp, megamarine, whatever. A lot of those aren't even really that healing period, so those are kind of mostly just the existing bone structure and not actually in flesh, so they should just have an adjustment period, big handles, and then pop right back into action. And then after that, we just live a good life with your corals.
Do you guys have any tips for cleaning out the nozzle of the glue tube so that it doesn't harden in there?
Yeah, buy a new thing or two. That's pretty much how it is. But actually, when I'm gluing, I don't really like to use the tip for that exact